Hello everybody, my name is Byrnage and this is my review for Ninja Kid on the NES. In Ninja Kid, you play as this little guy. Isn't he just the cutest? Just look at that run animation. Anyway, Ninja Kid has this loose story about demons on Demon Island and having to take out the big scary demon to restore peace to the land. They literally refer to the Ninja Kid as just Ninja Kid, and the big bad guy as the ferocious giant demon, so it's pretty clear that this feeble story was just thrown in at the last second so there would be something. I mean, small spoiler alert, there isn't even a giant ferocious demon at the end. You do fight some giant demons at the end of each level if you don't choose the right door, but the last boss is literally the same size as all the others, so whoever wrote this story must not have known much about the gameplay. And this game is all about the gameplay. You start out on an overworld map with a few levels around. The goal is to find a scroll that will be in one of those levels. Once you find the scroll, you can fight the boss and move on to the next round. There are 8 unique bosses, and then the game just loops back around, but it adds some new enemies. So if you want to see all the game has to offer, you need to complete 2 loops. That's all just the basics of the game though. There's a lot more going on here. If you take a close look at the overworld, you'll notice that some of the levels have different looks to them. This tells you what kind of level you're in store for. The one with the open monster mouth is called Guerrilla Warfare and requires you to just kill 10 enemies to complete it. I find it to be the most simple and easy, and it was always my go-to level if it was available. The one with the fires is called Blazing Inferno and requires you to lead a fireball around to light 10 candles. This is the only level that can have holes in the ground to fall in, so it can really test your platforming skills if you happen to get that variation of this level. The one with 2 pillars, which I can only assume are supposed to be graves, is called Poison Field, and requires you to collect 10 spirits. The spirits seem to move with you, but if you jump they stop moving. If you don't collect all the spirits fast enough, a bad guy will appear after hailing projectiles at you, which can be pretty tough to survive. Which, if you didn't notice that the spirits only run when you run, you're pretty much guaranteed to fight them, every time. At first I thought this was the hardest level because I couldn't possibly get the spirits fast enough, and things always went to hell. The final possibility is the one that looks like an Air Force badge, and it's called Dogshit. I mean Dogfight. In this one you fly around on a kite and just have to kill 10 enemies. This is by far the hardest level out of all of them, and I recommend avoiding it at all costs. You know how I mentioned that if you take a long time in Poison Field, you run into this tough enemy that just fires hell at you? Well, Dogfight is just like that, all the time. There are regularly spawning enemies that will often appear and snipe you out of the sky before you even know they're on the screen. There is one more door that you will see around the world map other than the 4 that I mentioned. That door has aspects of all 4 other doors, and will take you to a random level. You never know what you're gonna get, so it's a bit of a gamble. In each of the 4 levels, once you complete 9 out of 10 objectives, a flute will spawn, which you can use to summon a helper on a boss. A total of 3 flutes can be collected, giving you 3 different helpers. You always get them in order, which I wish was different. I would have liked to be able to select one, or get a random one at least, to add a little more depth, but it is what it is. The first flute will get you the Pegasus. Pegasus runs back and forth blocking projectiles. The second one will get you Eagle. The Eagle holds your enemy in place so they can't move. The third flute will get you the Old Witch. The Old Witch makes it so your enemies can't attack. They can still kill you if they touch you. A fight lasting long enough to summon the Witch is almost unheard of though. You have to summon Pegasus and Eagle first, and wait for each of those to expire, and that takes a while. Another thing you will run into throughout the levels is weapons. There are boomerangs and feathers which bounce around the screen based on your movements. The real power of these 2 weapons is that they give you temporary invincibility after picking them up. There are shuriken, which will deal extra damage and pierce enemies and obstacles. And lastly, there are fireballs which whirl around in a circle so they cover a lot more ground. There are also a few power-ups to find, but I'll have to explain one more thing for some of them. Once you finish your objective in a level, 2 doors will appear. One door will lead you back to the overworld, and the other door will make you fight a boss before you can return to the overworld. The only thing that fighting the boss will get you is some points, and you risk dying, so I found it ideal to avoid it. And trust me, you will learn to fear Fox Demon. 2 of the power-ups will help out with that. One is a crow, and the other is whatever the hell this thing is. and each of these will point you to the correct door to get back to the overworld. There is also a speed power-up which makes you move too fast, and anything else will just give you points. Points aren't bad by any means either. You will get an extra life at several different intervals throughout the game. That's pretty much all there is to this game. I personally love Ninja Kid. There's actually a surprising amount of strategy involved with the overworld section. Because you only need to get one scroll to progress to the boss, some levels can be skipped, so planning out the order in which you do the levels can be crucial to your success. Some levels you'll want to skip, like Dogfight, or even after obtaining the scroll, you might want to do more levels to try to get more weapons to help you with this particular boss, or a flute to summon a friend for that boss. Some levels will even block your path, forcing you to do them to be able to reach the boss. And then when you get into the levels, they will require quick reflexes and some on-the-fly planning. In levels like Dogfight, you might ignore power-ups just to get out of there as soon as possible. Or in Poison Field, you might pick up a similar strategy to avoid fighting the strong enemy at the end. On top of all these, each boss is different and will require different strategies and different weapons to take them down. For such a simple game, it just has so much depth. I think Ninja Kid is a fantastic game. I'm very surprised I hadn't heard of it before now, and I recommend it to anyone who likes retro games, challenges, arcade games, or anything else really. I think every gamer should play this game at least once. Like and subscribe if you know the pain of Dogfight, or plan on playing this game and are dreading the hellish struggle that is Dogfight. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.